Imagine a trading bot working for you 24/7 while you do literally anything else and it's completely free. In fact, you get paid to use it. Today I'm going to be showing you how I built this bot with Public in under 10 minutes. But before we dive in, let's take a quick look at what Public is. Public is an online brokerage that was founded in 2019 and makes investing simple and accessible. You can trade stocks, ETFs, options, and they even offer a high yield bond account earning around 5.7%. My favorite part about Public is they offer rebates for placing options trades, and the more trades you place, the more you get paid. As a quick note, Public has graciously sponsored this video. If you're interested in using Public, be sure to click on that first link down below in the description as it does help support me and the channel. But now that we've gone over all the basics, let's go ahead and get into the code. The first thing we need to do is get our API keys. If you actually press Get API keys on this screen, it won't take you where you need to go because we need to go to Account Settings, Security API. But if you click on View Documentation, it'll take you to this landing page. And if you press on Quick Start, Settings page, and then scroll down, it'll actually show you the section for tokens. And you can press New to create this new token. Now that you have the token, you can go ahead and open up your IDE. I'm going to be using VS Code today, and I'm going to run git init to initialize my repo, and I'm going to call this public. Now that I have that, I'm going to cd into this location, and then I'm going to run code and then period. This will open up a new window so we can run everything within this, and I can create a .env file. Within this .env file, I'm going to say token is equal to, paste in the token that we just copied. Now that we have our token here, we can go ahead and create a bot.py file. This will be our Python file that we run for our bot. And then from .env, we're going to import load.env. We're going to also import OS. We're going to call our .env function, and then we're going to set our variable of secret equal to os.getEnv. And then within that, we will say token, all caps is how we called it. And then I can now print our secret. And then if I make sure both of these files are saved, and then down here in the terminal, I run python bot.py, I can tab it over. We now see that our token is matching the same thing that we have in our .env file. So we are all set up and we are ready to start making some changes. Let's go to the documentation and see what it says to do. So I'm not going to be using this start guide here because everything is in a curl request, but instead I'm going to go to the authorization section here because we have the Python option already defined, and I can just pull this entire section right here into our terminal. Let's go ahead and call this section authorization, and let's move our import up to the top. And now we can see we have our URL for our access tokens. We're going to have our headers in a JSON format. Our request body has 123 minutes. We're going to be putting our secret in here, so we don't need to print this anymore. We have our access token for our key, and our value is going to be as a string, but I don't actually want to return both of those. I just want the string itself. So I'm just going to return our access token, and I just want to see the first couple just to make sure that it's actually working. So let's go ahead and run this, and it looks like it's working there. So we can rename this to access, and then we can go on to getting our account ID next. Listing accounts is what it's called in the documentation. We're going to be getting our accounts, and we're going to use this information here to get our account ID. So we need our access here, and we're going to turn this into an F string so that we can use the variable. And this is still a JSON type. And the only thing we're going to have to change here is we don't want to return everything. We just want to return our account ID. So we need to go into accounts, and then we need to pull our account ID. So I'm going to pull our accounts. And I only have one account, so I'm just going to be returning my first account. And remember that Python starts with a 0 index. And then I'm going to be returning the account ID. And again, I don't want to show my account ID, so I'm just going to put the first character here. And we can see that we have the first character. So we can go ahead and change this to be called account ID. And now we can get our portfolio information. Our portfolio information is going to be very similar to what we had before, except for this time we're going to be using our account ID. So we have to turn our URL into an F string for this variable. And then we're going to be using the same headers as before. And our new object is going to include our account ID and what it returns. We don't want to return our account ID again, so we're going to be removing the account ID. And then if we don't have one, we can just say none. So this should return an object that has all the information for our account we need. We have a brokerage account, our buying power, our options buying power, equity, positions, and orders. We don't have any orders right now, so let's go ahead and get an order created. We're going to start with a simple limit order. All right, so for placing an order, we have to go to the order placement section, place order, and this one is a lot larger. We have a lot more information that we're going to have to define in our IDE. So the first thing we have to do is change our URL to be an F string again, and I'm just going to pull the same headers as before just to make sure that we're on the same page there. And then we need a unique identifier for our order ID. So I'm actually going to create a new variable called order ID, and I'm going to set it equal to a string because it needs to be a string. We're going to use the UUID function, and we're going to use UUID4. I'm going to import this up at the top because we need to make sure that we actually have it within here so we can use it. And now I'm going to change this to be unique every time we place a new order. We're not going to make this super fancy right now. We're just going to do basics to make sure that the order goes through. So I'm going to do an order for a cincher. I'm going to do a buy limit for the day so we don't have to worry about expirations. And then I'm going to do one. I'm not going to do any fractional shares. I'm going to do a limit price of $1. I'm going to do no stop price and open. If I place this order, it should go through and we get our unique order ID of 192. So if I go to my portfolio now, I can click on my section here and it shows that I have a $1 limit buy outstanding. If I go ahead and I place another order for $100.11, we'll say, when I place this new order, we should see that our account portfolio has changed. So we have a new order ID with DA at the start. Previously it was 192. And then we also see that our orders have updated here. So we have our 192 order with a limit of $1 and all the information that is associated with that. So if we go back to our portfolio, we can now see our $100 limit buy as well. So both of these are working and this is going as intended. And if you made it this far, that is great. But if something does not make sense to you, now is the time to ask questions. Leave a comment down below. Someone in our community or myself will be able to help you get to this point. If you can't get to this point or it doesn't make sense, you do not want to continue building on this because we're about to get a lot more advanced. But if you made it this far and everything makes sense, then great, we're going to go on to the next part. Now, when it comes to leveling this bot up, the first thing that we need to do is actually enhance this to trade what I want to trade personally. I'm wanting to trade options. I'm wanting to trade spreads. So to set this up, we'll need to change our normal limit order to a multi-leg order. If we look back at the documentation, we can just pull the information that's in the normal limit order and then look at the multi-order. I'm just going to pull the entire multi-order into VS Code and see what actually changes between the two orders. And looking at this, we're not going to do a whole lot different, but I'm going to pull this entire section right here after the order ID and replace what I currently had with that section. And then the other thing that I noticed is we'll have to change that order to a multi-leg order. And after that, everything should be the same. So I'll go ahead and get rid of everything there and just edit our current order that we have set up. And now that that's set up, we should be able to place a multi-leg order. When it comes to editing this order, I'm just going to do a limit price of 10 cents. That way it stays way below the price of what would actually execute in the market. And then for the expiration, I'll just leave it as is for now. The type is going to be option, and we're going to replicate this twice. So for our leg, we're going to be doing 2 instruments within this. If I go ahead and I copy this entire thing, we can see that our second leg is going to be a sell. For options, the symbol is not a typical symbol. So if we were looking at a cincher, it's not going to just be ACN. It's going to have the expiration after that, and then it'll have some additional numbers after that for the call or strike price that you're looking at. And for us, we're going to need to pull that dynamically. So we're going to go ahead and go back to the documentation, see how to pull the option expirations, and see what the actual symbol name is for that so we can input it into this section here. If we go to the get option chain section, we see that we can type in our base symbol and we're going to be looking at a cincher ACN, and then we can go through the calls and the puts within this to make sure that we don't get anything confused. So to do that, let's go ahead and grab this section here and we'll put it back in our code above our current limit order. and we will do option chain as the name of this section. For the option chain, we're going to make a couple of changes. The first thing we're going to do is turn this into an F string. And again, we're going to be reusing our headers in every section. I'll go through later on and I'll update this so we're not going to be duplicating the same code over and over again. And then for our symbol, we're going to be doing a censure, and we will leave this as equity to show the option chain. We will actually change it in our limit order that we place later on, but for now we don't need to change that. And I'm going to be changing this date to be this Friday. I don't want to return everything here, so I'm going to go ahead and comment out this limit order for now so that we don't place an order. And I'm actually going to rename this to be called option chain. That way we can keep it and use it after this. Now, if we run our command, we can see that we're getting output with a large array here. We have a huge object, and within this we have different instruments. And within the instruments, we have our option and our bid and our ask price. So we see that we can actually use this, but how do we actually pull the strike price that we're looking for? That's going to be the next step that we need to add into this. And I'm just going to add a section right after this where I pull my specific prices I'm looking for. All right, I went ahead and I filtered through and I found that we needed to get the instrument, and within the instrument, we needed to get the symbol. So a censure is ACN, expiration date is 08/29 of 2025, and then this would be the 435 strike price. Now to pull out that specific information, we wanted to pull out the 435 and then divide it by 1000, and that'll get us 260 whenever it is equal to 260 in this case. And I'm actually going to do the same thing because I want to do a bull call spread. I'm going to change this to 262.5. That's going to be hard to type out. We'll just do 2625, and then we will change this here to 262.5. And then we can duplicate this print statement here. And if we change this to 262.5, then whenever we print this, we should get the correct output as long as I didn't mess up the decimal. So here we see 2625. That would be the 262.5 call. We could also change it if we don't want to do that and do the 265, or we could add in additional calls into this, or we could do the exact same thing for puts. But with that, now we can actually place our limit order. So let me go ahead and adjust this limit order to be what we need. We have the multi-leg, we have our symbol here, which we're going to be pulling from up above. I could say symbol 1, symbol 2, symbol 3, but since I'm currently using the call 260 and then instrument symbol, I'm just going to pull this whole thing right here, and we're going to create a new variable here called symbol 1, and we will set it equal to that, and then we will say symbol 2. We put symbol 2 right here, so let me go ahead and copy this really fast, and then let's go ahead and replace the symbols with their new names. So these are the new variables here, and then we can pull symbol 1 right here, and we can put symbol 2 right here in this one. And now if we place our limit order, it should show up in our account after an order ID is created here. So we have a new order ID created with the 262.50 and the 260 calls. So let's go ahead and navigate to our portfolio. As we can see, we have our censure bull call spread here down at the bottom, and we have the 1.3 as the current asking price for after hours, I guess. There aren't really after hours for options, but this is currently what the price is listed at. And we have our one strategy with two contracts, the buy call and the sell call. And this is a price of 0.10, so it's going to be 10 cents, which is actually going to be $10 in total after it's multiplied by 100. And that is our option that is actually showing up in the public portfolio. So we can see that this is working exactly as we intended it to. And this is a great place to reach. We now have the ability to actually trade options from our internal editor, and we can add a ton of logic to this to actually set up different things like RSI, moving averages, other tools like that. Unfortunately, Public does not offer historical data within their API currently, so I'm going to be connecting to Yahoo Finance or something else like that that has an API with history, so we can set up some cool AI automation next week, such as RSI, moving averages, or other indicators that you might want to look at. If you want to follow along and level up your trading bot, be sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down below on what you want to see next. And if you're interested in using Public's API to set up your trading bot, be sure to click on that first link down below in the description, as it'll take you directly there and it helps me out a ton. But that is all that we have for today's video, so I will see you next week.